waiting. Oh, that's a gonna be. That's a gonna waiting. And I know that sometimes we lose hope. Speed grows, unleash hope, but my soul has seen tears and free years. It gets hard, but broke hearts and no scars. And these parts don't make sense, but make hard in my mind. Waste time with these times. I'll be fine if I find a new kind of lifeline, and not blind to my mind, to my pain. But things change, I got the brain, forget the fame from the veins, look like the strain. That's all it takes when you're living in this world. No conception, sometimes you need to speak out. You need to breathe out, don't leave out, don't leave now. That's all it takes when you're living in this world. No conception, sometimes you need to.
There is something quite lascivious about duty. The parts of living that make you move. There is tradition in it, and that is some part of the civil ire I am speaking of. People will try you. People will expect you to move in their light. That is culture also. The story is simple, familiar, and impeding. Have you ever sat back in the introspection and asked yourself, why am I doing this? And by this I mean the aspects of life that make you move. And by move I mean the act of purpose. Therefore the question is also philosophical. To continue, the matter is of and about the act of being compliant. It infers agreeance, but it also connotes obedience. Now this can be a possible thing for a person if the matter is of an inevitability, such as motherhood or justice. However, this manner, duty, can also be incomprehensibly oppressive. To a narcissist, there is wisdom in the use of the melee, but to a person of high morals, in the dark and in the light, duty is one-dimensional in the philosophical contexts of love, empathy, and justice. So, what makes this conversation a conversation at all? What would intrigue you about it? Inside of every century is violence, inside of every court is injustice, and inside of every block is a bully. That is what they don't tell you. Remember, be dutiful, my child, for the kingdom of heaven smiles on the likeness. Be godly and be loved. This is the manner of civility. This is the manner of power. It is dutiful to grin and bear it. It is also dutiful to turn the other cheek. Be careful of how you hold yourself accountable. Be careful of the beautiful beast. Part of me gave you up. You have become a liability, a nuisance even. But you tore the cloak. You had broken down the curtain. Embittered eyes peered in without me knowing. I only saw the sun. It is especially pleasurable. These wept from the warmth only. I don't trust anyone. No bodies, no flesh. No soulful eyes, no relative truth. I made riddles for strangers, gave them up like they came from a Chinese sweetness. Hearing crumbling bones in her anger made sounds like geishas. I noticed this in other women as well. In other purgatories I saw the man with a stone in his back, and the mirrors from the Titan who held up the world for other Grecians. As well, In spells I saw what history had told me, and my own visions taught me back myself. And inside of myself I made another nation, and in that nation came the fruit of it. And that fruit smelled of the rot, and tasted like the freshness of any summer, and the skin became the light. Even the maggots stayed away. Even the worms clung to the vines, not it. Even the jesters grew silent because of it. The fruit, which had equated the rot, thought it have no taste, like arsenic. It, neither good nor evil, neither Nietzschean nor Nero, all marked by Edens that never wrote scripture, all marked by dead men, every ear echoing ghosts and angels, the real meaning lost in their shells, and in their holes, and in their clicking tongues. The jesters begin to speak their stench, making habit of propaganda and comedy. And oh, how the wings of the rock laughed at the gleaming, their muscles remembering the trauma of it. Being overwhelmed, they decide to shut their eyes again, where the wind is also hushed. Inside of the ethos came the arrows and the speak easy, and the mothers and the presidents, and the money that never came, and the time that turned into a mirror again. Inside of the wind came the rot and the shuddering eyes, and the people stuttered and twisted their bellies where it had healed them again. They talked inaudibly to their children, who would grow to remember something that they'd been taught again. And the vines peeked out with the wind, clawing at nothing and gaining speed with every twisted belly. Twisted bellies again. And the people gave their graces to white crosses and wore clothes like priests. They could not read the words. They could not ache. They would not rot then. They only trembled. They only contorted the melody. They only died. And the wind became their eyes again. What are you instinctively responsible for? Yourself? Your family? Your money? And don't mistake me, I'm not asking you directly. It is a philosophical question, some words placed in an effort to inspire you to sit with yourself. Your answers will let you know who you are and what level of accountability you hold yourself to. For me, I am responsible for myself and for love. There is nothing else. The self is already within the plurality, and the love is complex. Therefore, it connotes depths. I love heavy, and in my life that resembled and affected the heartbreaks. This is a matter of trauma. Therefore, I pose these very same questions to myself many times over many years. Being a black queer woman can oppose its own social poisons. Thus, I find it imperative to self-count and recount and be loving. And given my self-description, I must also add brown-skinned, so that you know the levels here. In my living, the disrespect has been boundless, the violence has been forthright, and the apathy evident and hedonistic. There is no irony here. I wish the world wasn't so bitter. When it comes to accountability, duty, I must be careful. I must be complete, not perfect. And the completion is the logic, the reasoning within everything I do. This is a part of my story. Now, defining accountability is also important. Accountability happens when you say, I'm sorry, and you show that with your actions. Accountability happens when a child is born, and you love it. Accountability happens when you live your life according to your own moral compass. So accountability has everything to do with being able to love. And love is complex, as I stated. As am I, as I have stated. Therefore, I am talking about love of self, romantic love, love of purpose, and love of humanity. When you love by any of these bullet points, you are automatically in the space of duty. So, accountability connotes duty, and duty emits the abstract emotion, love, emotively. So we define love and who we love and how we love based on the duty of our mothers, or rather, the acts of guardians that guided our footsteps. The dilemma variant, as I call it, is the matter of being loving and dutiful while being manipulated, or hated even. You have to be careful with yourself and with the love you emit. No one deserves to be mistreated and expected, which means expected to act in a way that is loving when you are actually hurt. It is insulting, and it is also hateful. You don't want to make someone else's hate your mental alchemy. It will fester and amalgamate within you. It will make you hate yourself. You don't have to define your life by your trauma, or the adversity that is civility, which has nothing to do with morality. It is simple confluence. Accountability is twofold. Accountability is a tool of manipulation and a manner of instinct. One of sociability, the other of the soul. One of war, the other of love. Accountability is a tool of communication. It is one of the ways that we relay information and emotions to one another in social constructs. And it is a powerful means to each. Think of that, of how that can be manipulated. Engage the other point. In my life, I was told that I wasn't wanted, that I didn't fit. I wasn't cool enough, that I was too black, too gay to play. And in these same spaces was the expected. I am expected to be loving and dutiful as a woman. I am expected to be quiet and take less pay as a woman. I am expected to bear children with a man as a woman. And I'm also expected to be assaulted as if it were my birthright as a woman. That is also trauma. This is what I breathe through every day in America. You gain perspective from someone else's pain, just like you gain understanding from someone else's success. I had to redefine duty, and I had to remake love within myself. And the brandishing is not done. I still created and moved myself. That is natural. And I am still loving. I just don't mistake it anymore. I am not responsible for someone else's mother's admittance of love and duty within them. Whatever. In the end, I hope that it is you that you are accountable for. In the end, I hope that it is love that you choose also. And, all in all, that is what life is worth too. I realize how I seem to people. I also know the great impact of gossip and that they see me through jaded lenses. That is also a part of my story. But I also know that I'm not responsible for it. I also know that words hurt and that people could be better to themselves and to one another. And I am not responsible for that either. What I hold with me are my mistakes and my successes, which I also don't define classically. Accountability is all about that. You cannot take the words of society and your so-called duty to it as an aspect of your morality. You don't have to feel bad about living here, in it. And you also don't have to hold yourself accountable for their cognitive dissonance or their toxic behavior. Redundant. Be beautiful, be light, and be kind, but be heavy and be depths when the social tariffs expect you. But you were never invited. You never wanted to come. Speak life, speak life, speak life.
Don't leave now, and I give them hell now. She won't do well now, so why compare now? Yeah, yeah. And I give them hell now, she won't do well now, why compare now? Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, you just need to breathe. You just need to breathe. You just need to breathe. Ain't no in between. Oh, that's up on me. And I give them hell now. It was like a shame. She won't do well now. Come from my blood, so I compare now. Yeah, niggas dead. And I give them hell. Yeah, just in a chance. Oh yeah, yeah. And I give them hell. That's all it takes when you're living in this world with no concepts